breeding doe show. First call for Class 2 breeding does. First call, Class 2 breeding does. Class 3, please be ready. Second call for Class 2 breeding does. Second call, Class 2 breeding does. Class 3, please be ready. Final call for class 2, breeding does. Final call, class 2. Eliza Dugan to the announcer's table. Eliza Dugan to the announcer's table. Final call for Brooke Elise to the holding area. Final call, Brooke Elise to the holding area.
Really good way to start our doe show. And I can tell you, if they're this good all the way through, it's going to be one fun day. Because I don't know if we even saw a weather class yesterday that was this deep all the way through, but I'll be the first to mention this one that wins this class is an absolute animal. That thing is good bodied, is good ribbed, is massive backed, and as stout and big legged as you can make one. And yet to still have that kind of neck and shoulder laid on her, the way her neck ties in the top of her shoulder, the levelness of her top line, the sweep to her underline. And that thing is presented to a T, and that's just good livestock in my opinion. Might not ever be the biggest one, but I was told a long time ago, even though they're the biggest, not the biggest ones, they're the best ones, and still you got to use them. I think that one's awfully good. This one here in second, similar mold there. I actually think that goat is actually a little better in the bottom side of her chest. I love her underlying quality, the flatness of her shoulder, and the neatness of her neck. And I thought it was a bit of a pair between her and the third place doe, because I do think she's a little small, she's a little straighter up front, and I'd like to make her bolder and more open in the bottom side of her rib. But still, I think that one's got more genuine shape in the back side of her shoulder. I think she's genuinely square and wider up over the edge of her loin. But still, I think that one's unique just in terms of her chest floor, her shoulder angle, and with that, I think she still gives you a good look. Maybe make her a little longer out of her hip, make her a little more flexible in the way she goes off of either end. The good made, good built one lies in third. I like her long bone and lateness and maturity. That's a good looking doe that's extremely level in her lines, and she has the advantage in terms of length to hip in relation to the one we just discussed. Get up on top of her, and to me, she just runs out of gas. That one's too plain and behind her shoulders. She's easily the roundest up over the edge of her loin of any doe in this initial 5. I need to crack her open and make her wider all the way through, but love her silhouette, love her skeletal quality and balance from the side. This one here in 4th, I thought was as good at handling a doe as anyone in this class. That's a big back square loin doe. I love the shape and dimension to her rib and center body. Get off to the side of her, and to me, she's just a little plainer in her look. That doe tends to fall out through her chest, get a little bolder at the bottom side of her shoulder, and with that, I just don't think she gives you quite the balance, the look, or the presence out here as maybe some of the others. Love her handling quality, breed her something to make her a little more exotic, and you got a winner. This one here in 5th, I think is just a nice solid doe. Stout featured, heavy structure, got some width and power. Starting on either end of her skeleton, and to me it's pretty obvious she's the roundest. I think she's a little bolder at the bottom side of her shoulder, just a little steeper and rounder out of her hip. Gets in motion, she wants to get up under herself just a nickel more. But still, excellent class, still some good does down the line. Let's give these young people a big hand.
Your results for Class 1: in 9th place, Carrie Oxford; 8th, Macy Shelton; 7th, Samantha Laird; 6th, Katie Laird; 5th, Casey Brassfield; 4th, Hannah Hamry; 3rd, Rose Davies; 2nd, Cassie Partridge; and your Class 1 winner, Kenna Gay. Now in the ring is Class 2 breeding does. First call for Class 3 breeding does. First call, Class 3. Class 4, please be ready. Second call for Class 3 breeding does. Second call, Class 3 breeding does. Abigail Jensen to the holding ring. Abigail Jensen to the holding ring.
real nice class, and I think he got a freak up top to win, and it's just because that one, to me, is the hardest to make from the side. That's shallow, that cool looking, that good neck, and yet she complements it with as big a back shape and as good a loin edge as any of them in here. I think that doe's awesome in motion. She utilizes her hind leg correctly, and her shoulder angle is facilitated right on her body. If you want to change her, maybe she's just a little steep out of her hip, a little short in her hip. That thing's athletic build and body type in correlation to that kind of width and muscle is pretty unique. Got the big legs, stout feature doe here next. I think that doe is very, very unique just in terms of width of chest, shape through her forearm, width of pins, all those things. At times, that doe I don't think is quite as good. Definitely when you get up on top of her, the way she hooks up just a nickel more behind her shoulder, I don't think she's nearly as square there up over a rack, but still, I think that doe's got a great look. She's tall-shouldered, she's level in her spine, got a lot of bone, a lot of feature, and a lot of width. Just like to make her just in relation to our winner a little better when I get up on top of her. This one here in third and fourth I thought were close, and this one here in third just fit me a little better. Just the shape to her rack, and I like the turn and dimension to her body. She's too short-bodied, more compact for my taste, but at the same time, I think that's a good body, big back doe that's got a good square loin edge in her. Still has some height at the point of her shoulder. To me, she's got to be longer hips, square in her knee, and more correct in the way she moves up front. But still a nice doe that's highly presented there in third. This one here in fourth handles awesome. You get up over her loin. That doe's got a great big square edge in her. I think with that, she's longer boned and later maturing and probably just a little more secure in the way she moves, the one we just discussed. I'll be the first to mention, though, I wish you guys would have taken a little more time and to get that one ready, because you've got three heaters up front that are highly presented, and this one's just a little rougher haired, and she's got a little, it looks like a little poop there on her back legs. So I think that doe's a nice doe. Just wish she came to show a little better today, give her a little more pizzazz, a little more show ring presence. But I think a good doe there in fourth for sure. This one here in fifth, I think a good, solid, practical type of a doe. Loose body, deep flank. The doe, to me, has still got some width and some mass. Get her emotion, to me, she just comes into pieces just a little more than those ones ahead of her. She wants to break it behind her shoulder, work up in her chine, get off in her hip point hookup. And she's the poorest in the way she handles her hind leg and the security of her pastern. To me, she gets up under herself too much, wants to get too soft on those rear wheels. But still, good doe there in fifth. We get down here to the line of them. I think a really, really nice made doe. It's one of the better built ones in this class coming out next. Not enough width and power and substance to be able to contend. Another nice doe coming out next. Again, a lot of power, a lot of shape, a lot of muscle. She's the weakest in behind her shoulder and probably the poorest made in motion of that initial grouping. Round out the set with three of them. Got some body volume, got some rib. Just probably don't have the eye, feel, or the look to be able to contend. Good class, so let's give those young people a hand.
Results for Class 2 in 10th place, Brooke Elise. 9th, Rebecca Hudson. 8th, Presley Jones. 7th, Shelby Rolfe. 6th, Leanna Ehrenberg. 5th, Kendall Thompson. 4th, Garrett Frank. 3rd, Macy Rossell. 2nd, Elena Barter. And your Class 2 winner, Taya Hamilton. Now entering the ring, Class 3, breeding does. First call for Class 4, breeding does. First call, Class 4. Class 5, please be ready. Second call for Class 4 breeding does. Second call, Class 4 breeding does. Class 4. Breeding does. Final call, Class 4.
Yeah.
Kind of our thing.
Probably, nice. He's fucking hairy, he's stout.
Is that the brave deer? Is this the brave deer? The brave deer? The one you put in the loading? Is that good?
Yeah, he stayed a little too moderate, maybe a little too short body. So he's only gonna weigh like 15. It's on. I'm good.
Tough class for old Timbo, because I tell you, there's not one of them, you can't pick a fault here, and I think there's some good ones, no doubt, but again, you got to find what you like and just kind of roll with it. But the young lady brought us one that I think is pretty unique, though, in this set, just in terms of her look, her balance, her eye appeal. That doe to me is extremely fresh when you get up on top of her. Her back is big, her loin shape is awesome, she's still level out of her hip, maintains her integrity and skeletal quality and motion. Yeah, with that kind of balance and look and presence, I think that one's hard to deny in this group, and I thought she was a pretty easy and handily class winner out here. This one here in second, I think he's got some unique pieces. She's bigger legged and stouter featured. The doe we just discussed, I think she's big and square out of her hip, and her progression of width is really good. I like to change her in the center part of her body, though. I don't think that doe's nearly as good in her lower rib, definitely at the top side of her skeleton. With that being said, she's a little weaker behind her shoulder and doesn't blend her top line as well. Still a nice doe there in second. It's got some neat pieces. This one here in third is probably the freakiest from the side. That one's extremely tall shouldered. Love her levelness of lines, the levelness out of her hip, the sweep back into her flank. I question just how much is there in that doe. I read her as the flattest, and probably the plainest in the lower part of her stifle. I don't think that doe comes equipped with quite as much width or sheer power or mass. I think she's awesome looking, really cool build. Love her lateness and maturity and length of body there from the side. This one here in fourth is just a good practical breeding doe that's highly presented. Good body, good rib, very productive in her center body. With that being said, I think she's the plainest looking one of the initial four. She's the boldest up through her shoulder, the plainest about her neck, and most often her neck attachment with that. She's the narrowest and the plainest out of her pins as well. But love the center part of her body, love the shape she has in the top side of her skeleton. Big, massive back doe coming out next. Got a great body shape, great loin edge working in her. I read her as the crestiest or just the most mature at the top of her neck. She's also the straightest up through her shoulder. Young lady can never get her neck to rock back because she fights that shoulder angle too much. And with that, when she's set into motion, drops her chest and just doesn't present as much balance there from the side. This is a really nice doe here coming out next. I think the one that's got a lot of quality, a lot of look and presence up front. She just needs more time and maturity. I just don't think she's opened up enough yet. Doesn't have the mass, the power, or the width of some of those other does. But that's an awfully nice doe standing there. And then with this, we've got a tall-shouldered, pretty long neck doe that just comes in too many pieces. We got one that's a little, obviously, slick-shorn doe. It's got a good body shape, good rib. Don't know if she has as much look or quality there from the side as some of the others. Round out the set with a group of them. Got some body volume, got some rib. Just don't know if they come with quite the show ring appeal or presence. Still a real good set. Give those young people a hand.
Results for Class 3 of the Breeding Doe Show. In 10th place, Abigail Jensen. 9th, Kendall Savage. 8th, Madison Blackwell. 7th, Samantha Laird. 6th, Rose Davies. 5th, first call for Class 5 breeding does. First call, Class 5. Class 6, please be ready.
Class 5, we need Katie Lear, Dayton Mortbeat, Ernesto Maldonado. And we still need Dayton Mortbeat. Dayton Mortbeat. Class 5 it is. Dayton Mortbeat. 82 pound two.
Dayton Morvet, we need your goat to the holding ring. Dayton Morvet.
tough class with a lot of differences. And hey, if you want to say that my winner's too over her knee to start, go right ahead. But you get your hands on that one, and I think she dominates this class in every regard. That doe is without question the most genuine in her topside shape and spread. She's the biggest and squarest up over her loin. And with that, she still combines with the right kind of look up front, flatness to her shoulder, and neatness of chest. You know, she could be a nickel leveler out of her hip, but at the same time, I think that doe's a good bodied, athletic built one. It's got the right kind of shape and touch and tone to make weathers, and with that, she's big and square out of her hip and has enough power and dimension. One here in second is Better Made. Now, I would argue if you started with her, because I think that doe is really good in her underlying quality, very long and level in her spine and level out of her hip. Get up on top of her, and she's not nearly as genuine in her shape and her expression. I think that doe is just a nickel planer and behind her shoulder. I don't read her as nearly as powerful or dimensional in the lower part of her stifle, the depth of her twist, or the inner part of her thigh. But still, I think a good made, good looking doe that's very sound and square. Probably the bulkiest, stoutest featured doe of many of them here coming out next. I think that doe is extremely well presented, and with that she balances well from the side. At the same time, I guess I read that doe as a little plainer and coarser about her shoulder, and with that, I don't read quite as much, again, enough shape or dimension in the lower part of her leg and stifle, but still a stout featured, heavy structured doe. It's got some width and openness and skeleton. Love the practicality and body shape of the doe coming out next. That's the widest chested, almost opened up doe in the entire set, but for me she's just too coarse and plain up to her front shoulder and the way her chest is designed. I read that doe as too open the top side of her shoulder and the bottom side of her shoulder. And me, I'd like to crank that chest up, crank her front end out of the top side of her skeleton, but still I love that one's body shape, her rib, and openness of skeleton. This one coming out next is a long bone, late maturing doe that's very long and level in her spine. I think she's got some height at the point of her shoulder. Her pasterns give me a lot of trouble though. She's the weakest and the softest in her pastern set of the initial grouping. I like to change the way she utilizes her hind leg. One coming out next is a real solid doe that just ain't good enough looking for me. That doe's good body, big back, and square loin. To me, she gets too deep in her chest, too mature at the top of her neck. She also doesn't have quite the look or the extension or presence of some of the others. We get down here to a set of them. They got some length, they got some extension, got some body volume. To me, they just need more show ring appeal and presence to be able to contend. Nice set.
Your results from Class 4, Weston Audison. In 10th, 9th, Kyle Goldstein. 8th, Taylor Satterfield. 7th, Riley Merton. 6th, JC Mole. 5th, Ariana Lundgren. 4th, Casey Brassfield. 3rd, Piper Liska. 2nd, Hannah Hamry. And your Class 4 winner, Kira Rogers. Now entering the ring, Class 5, Class 5 does.
I'm good, thank you.
This is the first call for Class 6 breeding does. First call, Class 6 breeding does. Class 7, please be ready. Kenna Gay, Cassie Partridge, Taya Hamilton, Elena Barger, Tiffany Sunday, Abby Partridge, Kira Rogers, and Hannah Hamry. Please bring your breeding does to the holding pen for the Division I Champion Drive. Taya Hamilton, will you please bring your breeding doe over to the holding area? Taya Hamilton, Class 2.
nice class, real nice doe here to start. I think there's definitely some sort to some of these things in relation to how they're built, how they're made, and where you want to land your priorities. I think between the pair up top, the one that to me is the hardest to make is the young man's doe that starts. I think that doe's considerably better in the shape and dimension and behind her shoulder. She's big and square up over her loin. Love her flexibility and range of motion when the young man puts her into the lead. And with that, she's very level in her lines, level out of her hip. You know, she might not be just as good or just at the base of her neck as the one here in second, but at the same time, that's a good made, good looking doe. It's extremely well balanced, like her body shape, her rib, and her extra power in this set. One here in second, I think, is a real nice doe that's extremely well presented. If we took the hair off of her, I just wonder how much genuine shape there is in behind that one's shoulder in the relation to the one that starts. Even with the hair, she wants to work up in her chine, get just a little looser behind her shoulder. But I think that doe comes together pretty well for that young lady. She's very tall shouldered, got some width, got some dimension, and got some power. I just wish she was a little better when you got over the top side of her skeleton. This one here in third is a big, bulky doe that's super opened up. Love her stoutness of feature and heaviness of structure. At the same time, she's the plainest looking one of the initial trio. Too straight up front, too bulldog-like in her shoulder. She's the coarsest neck for me, and with that, I just like to make her a little longer boned and later maturing and more extended. The freak sits in fourth in terms of neck shape, front end design, and posture. At the same time, I'd love to soften that one's flank and give her just a little more center body. Get those does in the motion. She's without question the straightest up front. The frailest feature doe to me is just not as secure in the way she goes off of either end of her skeleton. But she's good body, big back, to good shape. I just wish I could square her up in her knee, make her wider going away from me. Another good body doe that's got a very functional type of a look coming out next. Needs to be more shape in that one when you get behind her in the lower part of her leg and stifle. Got a big back, shapely doe that's just too straight, bunched up for me. Got another one here that's square built and opened up, wants to drop her front end and get weaker behind her shoulder. Round out the set with a moderate, good bodied, stout featured doe. Just doesn't balance quite as well. Good set though. Let's give those young people a hand.
Your results for Class 5 breeding does. In 8th place, Easton Willoughby. 7th, Trinity Bulger. 6th, Ernesto Maldonado. 5th, Blake Early. 4th, Mason Walker. 3, Brody Adams. 2nd, Marissa Smith. And your Class 5 winner, Dayton Morvet. Now in the ring is the Division 1 champion drive for the breeding does. First call for Class 6 breeding does to the holding ring. First call, Class 6.
Real good set of them out here. They told me I got to pick up the pace a little, so we'll try to kick it in high gear. But there's an awesome set of does and a lot of quality, a lot of differences in these things, and just in relation to how you read them, you can do a lot of things with them. In my opinion, there's a freak out here. I mean, an absolute good one. She might not be the biggest one, but in my opinion, she's easily the best one. This one in the lightweight class is going to be our champion.
Class 6 goes, still looking for Haley Stone, Reese Ludlow, Elena Santiago. Again, Class 6, Jalen Stone, Reese Ludlow, Elena Santiago.
I think he gets a little closer here for reserve. I thought the one that won that deal was just a unique creature, in my opinion. But then we get down here for reserve. I think there's some differences in these does. I really like two of them. This one out of the second class, the one out of the last class. And there's subtle differences in terms of their kind. They're polar opposites. The one out of the last class is a little deeper flanked and looser body. To me, she probably isn't as good at the crest of her neck and the way she just blends out of the top side of her shoulder, but I love that one's underline, just the look and the balance she gives you from the side. And again, I still think she has some shape in his expression when you get up on top of her. This one here out of the second class, I think is pretty unique in terms of front end design, height to the point of her shoulder, and just that one's rib cage and body shape. You know, she's not the softest flank doe in the world, but she's got a big back plate in her, a big square edge as well. So I think it gets real tight between those two. There's one of them that just hits me a little harder. I'll got to pick your reserve.
Your champion breeding doe for Division 1, Kenna Gay. Your reserve champion breeding doe out of Class 2, Taya Hamilton. Now entering the ring, Class 6 breeding does. First call for Class 7. First call, Class 7 breeding does. Class 8, please be ready. Second call for class 7. Junior breeding does. Second call, class 7. In addition, if you are not in the auction and you are wanting to sell your animals, you can do so at a resale price. However, you must turn in the packer copy of your weigh-in card by 4 p.m. to guest services.
I wouldn't mind sitting down with it. I'll go push him. I'll hug him.
Emma Rethens, please bring your doe to the holding area. Evan Rethens, we need you to come wait or to come check into the holding area.
Yeah, we do it all the time. I went in shy for fire last year twice. Now shy's probably got it done. I'm going fire top round. He's gonna be in a world of soccer when he come in.
Talk about a class that gets my blood boiling. Woo! Man, these things are incredible. And I'm telling you, whoever raised these things, whoever bred these things, my hat's off to you, because there are some unique creatures in here. But depends on what you like and the kinds you land to. But I think this one that wins this class is incredible. That thing is unbelievably good body, crazy big loin, and yet with that kind of front end and just the way she blends up over the top side of her shoulder is absolutely unreal. I mean, that thing is hard to make. If you're going to change her in relation to the one right behind her, I'd like to see her nickel leveler out of her hip. That's a fat-legged, good body, good ribbed one that's crazy big back. I think she has a clear advantage in terms of loin shape and just sheer power in relation to this one here in second. That's a good piece of livestock in my opinion. This one here in second I think is wild there from the side. Crazy shallow, super tall shoulder, love her levelness of lines, the levelness out of her hip, and then with that thing's stout featured, heavy structured also. Get up on top of her, I think she's a little rounder in the edge to her loin. I don't think she's near as massive, and just right behind her skeleton, I don't think there's as much openness, just as much sheer power or dimension. But that thing is deadly good looking from the side. I tell you, that would be fun to stand behind in the backdrop. This one here in third is a good body, good ribbed one that's crazy up over the top side of her skeleton. I actually think she's wider and squarer underneath than the one we just discussed. to me, it get off to the side of her, and she just doesn't have that show ring appeal those other two does do. I think she's a little deeper through her heart and forerib, doesn't drop as back as nicely or as sweet back into her flank. With that, I'd like to see her neck come just a little higher on the apex of her shoulder. This one here in fourth is a good-looking striking doe that ran into a heater of a class. Not enough of that one on either end in order to contend with them. The frailer feature doe just isn't open or pried apart in her skeleton. The right reader is massive when I get right behind her in the lower part of her rib. That's a good-looking, nice mate doe that's got loads of quality from the side. Just wish you didn't have those couple on the top end to be able to contend. This one coming out next is another one that's probably better bodied, better ribbed than the one we just discussed. For me personally, she's just a little coarser up front, a little plainer at the crest of her neck. I don't read her as neat up through her front skeleton as maybe some of those others. Get a guy that likes them a little thicker than the balding guy in the middle of the ring, he might do a little better one day. This one here has definitely got some shape and some expression. To me, she's the softest passer and the plainest looking doe of the initial grouping. Get another one that's good looking up front, just not enough width and power and dimension. She's the flattest ribbed and the narrowest chested. Round out the set with two of them. They got some body volume and some rib. Just need more look and quality.
Results from Class 6. In 9th place, Wesson Whitman Snipes. 8th, Kyle Goldstein. 7th, Reese Ludlow. 6th place, Hannah Hamry. 5th place, Gracia Ellis. 4th place, Alina Santiago. 3rd, Elena Troop. 2nd, Macy Russell. And your Class 6 winner, Kaylee Stone. Now in the ring, Class 7 breeding does. First call for Class 8 junior breeding does. First call, Class 8. Class 9, please be ready.
I remember we got nubbed with one. I was gonna oh, look at the butt. Look at the butt. That's it.
Oh, this is really nice. It's two. Yeah. That's so nice, yeah.
Second call for Class 8 breeding does. Second call, Class 8.
Oh, sorry.
Come on. You have to find Jimmy Goats. You're the best a trio. Vincent Van Goats. Jimmy didn't have a story.
Final call, Class 8 breeding does. Final call, Class 8.
We got Vincent.
real nice class. I think a heater up here to start. The doe that I really like. Just in terms of her skeleton, the way she's built, I think her hind leg posture and her feature is better than that doe there in the second. And with that, I still think that doe gives you a real balanced look. Crazy good body, massive up over the edge of her loin. You want to change her, maybe she's a little round out of her hip. She probably isn't the coolest in the way her shoulder lays into her, as we've seen. That's a good body, good rib doe that's massive up high, and crazy big up over her loin. This one here in second, I love the way she lays into her shoulder, the height at the point of her shoulder, her length of body, and lateness and maturity. For me, she's definitely frailer featured. She doesn't have here the foot size or the bone work. It tends to work up into her spine, but still, that's a really good body, good rib doe that's got lots of power and width. Another really good looking doe that's just solid coming out in third. Tall shouldered, good chested, good underline. To me, she doesn't come with the bells and whistles of some of those ahead of her. I don't read her nearly as good in the center part of her body or the lower part of her rib. I don't read her nearly as wide or as opened up to her chest and lower skeleton. But still, I think that's a good looking, attractive doe that's well made from the side. Good rib, good body doe here coming out next. It doesn't have quite the sheer shape or dimension when you get up on top of her. Get underneath that hair, she tends to flatten the base of her forehead. She's the plainest loin doe, the initial grouping. Got another good body, good rib doe. To me, is too soft pasture and just too plain at the bottom side of her chest to be able to contend. But still, a good group. Let's give these young people a hand.
First call for Class 9 breeding does. First call, Class 9. Now entering the ring, Class 8 of the breeding does. Your results from Class 7. In 8, Kendall Savage. 7th, Rachel Talon. 6th, Reese Ingleson. 5th, Hannah Hamley. 4th, Cassie Jo Fadley. 3rd, Emma Raffens. 2nd, Kaylee Rolfe, and your class winner from Class 7, Sandra Klinger.
Is there a break? It's before class 10. Stop after 10. I didn't see that or I don't know, I took this picture the other day. I don't know. I didn't take that. I don't. Well, maybe I did. I was just told to come and ask if it's with you. Oh. Because Katie's like, thinking she's in the wrong. Like, she's in class 11. I'm like, well, you're in class 10. Oh, she is in class 10? Yeah. Well, she's in class 10 now.
Second call for Class 9 breeding does. Second call, Class 9. Class 10, please be ready.
Yeah.
Final call for Class 9 breeding does. Final call, Class 9 breeding does. If you do not know where your land is and it is posting a missing pin, it is in pin D27, please go get your land. Correction, D26, not D27.
real nice class. And you know, I'm pretty obvious when I like one, I'll kind of put them to the forefront, sort the rest of them, and let these two just chill, because these two are definitely worthy of it. I think both these does are extremely high quality. These young people should be proud to own them. I think the doe that wins is just my kind in terms of rib and body shape. Get up on top of her. That thing's loin edge and back shape are unreal, and yet got that kind of look and extension up front, that much levelness of lines. Perfectly good in her forerib shape, and yet still has some width and power to boot. It's an awfully impressive class winner. Then young lady maintains herself incredibly well in motion. Love this one here in second when the young lady gets her propped up. That thing's wild-fronted, good-chested. I think she's got a very athletic look to her. At the same time, you know, when she gets in emotion, maybe she probably doesn't maintain herself as well. I think the doe that gets a little flatter, more ordinary to the lower part of the rib, wants to work up in her top line just a skosh. And with that, she gets her hind leg up under her just a nickel and wants to close up at her hocks. But I love that thing's look and presence when she gets propped up. Got loads of quality with an athletic look and a weather-making type of show ring appeal. This one here in third, just a good solid doe. The handle's better than the rest of them. Thinks big back and square loin. With that, she balances pretty well. To me, she's probably not as unique in terms of her chest or underlying quality. With that, I don't read as much shape or dimension in the lower part of her stifle. Good doe, though, there in third. Nice doe, just a functional type of female here in fourth. Good body, good rib, got a good shape up over her back. To me, she fades out the most, and I get right behind her. And just in terms of the shape through her lower stifle, to me, she gets a little higher in her twist. Just doesn't have the oomph maybe some of those others do. We get down here in the fifth, a nice looking doe that's long boned and late maturing. To me, she's the steepest out of her hip, and with that, gets a little bolder at the bottom side of her shoulder. But still, a nice doe there in fifth. Then we get down here to a group of them. Got one here in sixth that's really cool looking. Maybe just don't know how much genuine shape or expression or sheer power there is in that doe underneath all that hair. Get down to a group of them. You know, some of them have some width and power. Some of them have some length and extension. To me, they got to be tweaked in a couple areas to move up. A good set. Give those young people a hand.
Results for Class 8 and 10. Samantha Laird, 9th, Emma Graham. 8th place, Caitlin Dickinson. 7th, JC Mole. 6th, Courtney Costello. 5th, Anna Stratton. 4th place, Chloe Lombardo. 3rd, Hannah Hamry. 2nd, Chancellor Johnson. And your Class 8 winner, Paige Pence. Now in the ring is Class 9 breeding does. First call for Class 10. First call, Class 10 breeding does. 11, please be ready.
Although he wants money, so he's doing motivated.
Final call for Class 10 breeding does. Final call, Class 10.
Well, I'm not prejudiced, but I'll tell you, this one up front gets my blood boiling. That thing is wild looking. He can't make one any shallower, better chested, cooler necked, or better profiling. And she comes with more than enough width and power. Again, show livestock need to win livestock shows. And that one has the right kind of look and balance from the side. She might not have as much dimension in the seat of her pants, but I was once told muscle is only a generation away. And that one's build, balance, and kind are just the right kind, in my opinion. This one here in second is bulky, massive, wide, opened up, crazy opened up to her chest. She is massive when you get behind her. She has more lower shape to her stifle. She just ain't as cool up front. The base of her neck is the one that starts. She has loads of power and dimension and shape, maybe just a little rounder muscle, if you will, but still massive, powerful, and wide. That's an interesting breeding piece there in second. One here in third, big back, crazy shape, fits a similar mold as the one we just talked about. The same token, I think that's the roundest and the shortest tip though. She's the weakest in her pasture and set, no question. She's the most conventional in her frame and look, but still, love that one's body shape, her rib cage, and sheer power off of either end. This one here in fourth is a good solid doe that ran into three really good ones on the top end. That doe's got a good look. She balances well. To me, she just looks a little plainer at the base of her neck. She doesn't probably neaten up or just as tidy up as good through the lower part of her chest when she's in motion. But still, I think that doe's awfully good with loads of shape and expression, no doubt. This one here in fifth is a good-looking, striking doe. Wish you'd have trimmed down that hair a little bit so I can see how genuine that one is, because I like her profile balance, like her tallness of shoulder and her shape. To me, she looks a little straighter up front, a little more over in her knee, and probably not as good built as some of those ahead of her. That was an awesome class, as good of a set of four of them as we've seen throughout my entire time judging this week. Let's give those young people a hand for an awesome set of goats.
Your results from Class 9 and 10th place: Blackton Melton, 9th, Elena Barber, 8th, Courtney Jenkins, 7th, Hannah Garcia, 6th, Carly Wheeler, 5th, Courtney Costello, 4th, Elena Santiago, 3rd, Haley Albrecht, 2nd, Kenna Gay, and your class winner for Class 9, Carson Wheeler. Now entering the ring is Class 10 breeding does. First call for all first and second place exhibitors from Class 6, 7, 8, and 9. Back to the holding ring. Kaylee Stone, Macy Russell, Sandra Klinger, Kaylee Rolfe, Paige Pence, Chancellor Johnson, Carson Wheeler, and Kenna Gay. Please report to the holding area. Class 11, be ready. Madison Rule and Hannah Seaver, if you can please report to the announcing table. Madison Rule and Hannah Seaver. Second call for our first and second place exhibitors from class 6, 7, 8, and 9 to the holding ring.
Another class where I think this young doe needs a run rule in this class, because I think she dominates it in every facet. It's a good body, good looking doe. The profile is awesome. Tall shouldered, extremely big back, got the right kind of body shape with the chest and openness of skeleton. Good doe there to start. Young lady brings us just a good body, practical doe here around coming in second. I don't like her out of her hip necessarily. I like to tidy her up in the bottom of her chest, but she's got a big back laid in her, big square loin edge. I like the feature and the heaviness of structure. Really cool looking doe at the top side of her shoulder that's coming out next. Like to change her forerib shape though. That doe to me just isn't as open through her center body. She also gets just a little rounder out of her hip. Another doe that gives you a pretty good look, is really well balanced and level out of her hip. She to me is too straight up front. She's too over in her knee, too tight in her rear hock. Like to give her a shot more dimension in the seat of her pants. Round out the set with one I think's got a big back laid in her. When she gets in motion, she tends to drop her chest, get entirely too steep out of her hip, but still a really good set. Let's give those young people a hand.
The results from Class 10 and 9th, Megan Lackey. 8th, Elmer Hebrick. 7th, Jordan Jellick. 6th, Katie Laird. 5th, Liana Ehrenberg. 4th, Rose Davies. 3rd, Piper Liska. 2nd, Katie Matsumoto. And your class winner from Class 10, Tassie Joe Fadley. Now entering the ring is the Division II Champion Drive. First call for Class 11. First call, Class 11 breeding does. Class 12, please be ready. Second call for class 11 breeding does. Second call, class 11.
Folks, I don't know how it gets any better than this. My goodness. These things are absolute creatures. I'll tell you, whoever it is back there to raise these things, I'll tell you, I commend you, because I don't think we've seen a better set of livestock in the front row this entire week, this last couple of days. I don't know if there'll be a better set of them as we go through with any show. And I'll tell you, they're absolutely tremendous. And I commend every one of you. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to go ahead and talk about them a little bit because I think they're worthy of it. And I know they're trying to push me for time, but at the same time, this is too good of a lineup for me not to discuss. This one up front, we talked about her in class. That's a creature, just good livestock. Really good bodied, awesome rib, crazy big backed, and crazy square loin. And with that super stout featured and heavy structure, maybe in relation to some of them, as we really get her back out here, she's not as smooth in the way she lays in her shoulder, and is maybe just a little round out of her hip. But that thing is awesome rib, crazy good body, and got big fat legs laying on her. This one here on the second class, I think a nice doe that gets to a heated division. Good body, good rib, big back, square loin, a little plainer looking, a little rounder out of her hip. This one that comes out of the third class, that thing's body shape and rib cage are tremendous. She's massive out of the backside of her shoulder, as big and square up over the edge of her loin as any of them. With that being said, maybe she gets a little open at the top of her shoulder, a little plainer at the base of her neck. That's an awfully high quality doe there coming out of the third class. This one out of the fourth class, guys, it's just my kind, man. One's tall shouldered, good looking, shallow, awesome built, awesome in her lines, maintains her integrity and motion. Her hip and hind leg posture are incredible. Give her a shot more butt, that's fine, but at the same time, that one's build quality underlined and just look from the side is incredible. This one coming out of the last class is good body, good rib, again, maybe a little shorter and more compact, maybe just doesn't have that uniqueness up to her front skeleton as some of them. This is an awfully good lineup. You have your favorites, that's fine. They hired me to do my job. I'll go ahead and find you a champion. Let's give all these exhibitors a big hand for an awesome set of those.
Your Division II champion doe, exhibited by Carson Wheeler. Your reserve champion, breeding doe, out of class 6, Kaylee Stone. First call for class 12 breeding does. First call, class 12. Now entering the ring, class 11, breeding does. Second call for class 12 breeding does. Second call, class 12. Final call for class 12 breeding does. Final call, class 12, 13, please be ready.
Class 12, the head worker, Nathan Walker, Jack. Nathan Walker, class 12.
Yeah. Well, they are, but it's like, why don't I do it different? Sophie, Kelsey got her set up.
Real good set of does in this class, and I think there's a good one there to rise to the forefront. I think when that doe's put into motion, that's where I think she sets the class standard in terms of skeletal quality and top line balance. I think that doe's extremely level and good in her lines, good out of her hip, love the elevation up front, her width of chest, her body shape and rib cage. I think that doe's extremely high quality for that young lady, and that's a nice place to start. One here in second is another good doe. I like the way her spine lays in her a nickel better than the one there in third. I think she's just a little looser and freer in her spine, and she's definitely better in her hock angle and the way she's built up front. In relation to her winner, I guess I just don't read her body shape or her rib cage nearly as unique. To me, she tends to flatten a bit more at the base of her forerib, maybe get a little plainer at the top of her neck, but still, I think that doe's extremely high quality for that young lady. Wide-chested, big forearm, lots of width and power and hip shape. One here in third is a freak when you get up on top of her, just in terms of loin shape and just how massive she is. Love the elevation up front. She steps into motion. I get a little harder on that one's build. The frailest featured doe is the straightest up front. Also read her's the tightest in her spine and the most restricted in the way she's built out of her hock. Love her body shape though, love her width, love her power and dimension. Just like to make her a little freer, looser skeleton. One coming out next runs into a heater of a class. That's a big-legged, stout-featured doe. It's got a nice profile balance. I don't know if she's nearly as dimensional or just as massive. Then you get right in behind her, definitely down into her lower stifle and just a flare to her outer leg. But still, I think that's a good body, good handling doe that's got some balance. We get down here to another one that's stout-featured, heavy-structured, extremely tall-shouldered. Get your hands on her under all that hair. Just don't think she has the same kind of shape and just mere mass or power as maybe some of those others. It's an awesome class. Let's give those young people a hand.
Your results from class 11 in 10th place, Janet Segura. 9th, Sophie Sturgis, Hunter Stevens. 8th, Sarah Coker. 7th, Sophie Sturgis. 6th, Liana Ehrenberg. 5th, Cooper Thompson. 4th, Tiffany Sunday. 3rd, Carson Wheeler. 2nd, Elena Santiago. And your class winner from class 11, Sandra Klinger. Now entering the ring is class 12, breeding does. First call for class 13 of the breeding doe show. First call, class 13, class 14, please be ready. second call for class 13, the holding area. Second call, class 13 breeding does.
Tell you, it's just class after class at this point. This one that wins this thing is another one that fits the mold of what we've been using. Good looking, good body, crazy look. Just in terms of the sweep to her underline, the levelness of her lines, awesome hip and hind leg design. That thing is so athletic body. And man, if you can make weathers that look like that one, ooh, you're gonna win a lot of weather shows in my opinion. That one's pretty good, young lady. This one here in second is another one that's awesome. You know, good bodied, extremely well presented. She might be as level and as good out of her hip as anything we've seen. Jane is just as freaky, and the base of her neck and the way her neck is shaped is that one that starts, but still, that thing's massive, opened up, crazy wide chested, got a big forearm working in her. That thing's really good, young man. I would be proud to own that one. This one here in third just runs into a heater of the class, a good body, practical rib doe. I just don't think she comes with a wow factor in relation to some of these others. She easily is the shortest and the steepest out of her hip. I can change her the base of her neck also, but still, really good doe there in third. This one here in fourth is another one you could label as just a unique breeding piece. Good bodied, opened up, wide chested, really level in her lines. In relation to some of these others, I think she gets a little straighter up front. She probably doesn't go quite as good out of her front skeleton, but still, that thing is good body, good ribbed, and big back. This one that rounds out the top five is another extremely good doe. Ran into a bit of competition. I read her as a little bolder at her shoulder, a little plainer at the bottom side of her chest, and maybe just a little steeper out of her hip. Got a big one edge in her, and it's plenty wide on either end. Got a really nice doe here in 6 that runs out of gas in terms of width of pins and just openness when I get behind her. Another one here and coming out next. It's big back and square shape. She to me is the most mature up front, the most open at the top side of her shoulder. Like to change the way she transitions her loin back into her hip. But still, awesome group. Let's give those young people a hand.
Results from Class 12. In 10th place, Sage Saunders. 9th, Jacob Duke. 8th, Taya Hamilton. 7th, Mason Walker. 6th, Abby Bianchi. 5th, Dimitri Flores. 4th, Bailey Lake. 3rd, Riley Faye Hoyle. 2nd, Dayton Morvet. And your Class 12 winner, Kenna Gay. Now in the ring, Class 13. First call for Class 14 breeding does. First call, Class 14. In addition, if you are in the Supreme Drive, we are going to have you start lining up at 3 o'clock. If you are showing in the Supreme Drive tonight, be ready to go at 3 o'clock. Again, that is the Supreme Market Drive for sheep, 3 o'clock. Second call for Class 14 breeding does. Second call, Class 14. Please make your way to the holding ring.
And we're showing Corey Ross and Clear Rumble. Top 14. Corey Ross, Clear Rumble. Top 14.
Awesome class with a lot of differences, and you know, if you switch them up down here from second to fifth, I probably wouldn't argue with you. But this one that wins does so without question in my mind. Tall shoulder, good body, big back, big loin. She's not the squarest or the biggest, coming right out of the base of her tail. Doesn't bother me too much though, because when you get off to the side of that one and just see her profile balance, look up front, I think it's pretty intriguing in my opinion. This one here in second, I think in relation to those others, is just the most genuine. Their top side spread and shape. I think she's the squarest and behind her shoulder, the biggest and flattest up over the edge of her loin. I like that one's height at the point of her shoulder and the sleekness of her neck. Get her in motion, she tends to work up in her chine just a nickel and drop her top line just a skosh. But still, I like that one's with the skeleton, like her height at the point of her shoulder and just the base of her neck better than some of these others. One here in third is just a real big loin, big hip doe that's super opened up. When I get my hands on her, she is without question the plainest of the backside of her shoulder, and with that, she's the shortest body and most compact. We're real level, real good in her lines. This one here in fourth, some guys might like her extra width and substance a little more than I do. I think with that, you get a little more boldness of shoulder and not near as much sleekness up front. That doe to me isn't nearly as good after the front side of her skeleton nor at the base of her neck. This one here in fourth ran into a heater of class and just runs out a bit of a gas, if you will. I like her profile balance. I like the height of the point of her shoulder. Would like to change her out of her hip just a nickel, make her longer and leveler there. That's a good body, good rib doe that just doesn't have the power and punch as some of those others. Get out here to one that's a good body, another good rib doe that I think probably breaks the most. Just when you get off to the side of her, she doesn't blend as well in behind her shoulder, and she's without question the shortest and steepest half of her hip. And with that, she's a little straighter up front. Another good body doe here that's got a big back plate in her. Like to make her stouter out of her pins, longer boned, and later maturing. But more importantly, when she gets into motion, the frailest feature doe wants to drop her chest and get a nickel too straight. With that, we got a group up on the back end of this class. They got some lateness, maturity, some length and extension. They just need more power and punch and play. Good set though. Let's give those young exhibitors a hand.
Your results from class 13. In 10th place, Taylor Rowland. 9, Zane Campbell. 8, Miley Meyer. 7, Leanna Ehrenberg. 6th, Garrett Lowe. 5th, Raisha Ellis. 4th, Hannah Henry. 3rd, Cassie Joe Fadley. 2nd, Case Ingleson. And your class winner from 13, Carson Wheeler. Now entering the ring is class 14 of breeding does. First call for class 15 to the holding ring. First call, class 15 to the holding ring.
Class 15 will be Heather DeForest, Matthew Joe Bailey, and Reagan Rogers. Class 16.
Last call for class 15 to the holding arena. Last call, class 15.
I think a real good pair of those on the top end of this set, and you know, there's definitely, you can flip-flop them if you see fit. With me, I think the one that's more unique, just in terms of her front skeleton and the way she's built up to her head and neck, as the young ladies know, that rises to the forefront. That one's seamless in terms of her silhouette, transition from the side, the way she softens back into her flank, dead level in her top line, great out of her hip. Love the feature and heaviness of structure. That one to me has an athletic type of a look and body type. I think she's better at the base of her neck and just the crest of her neck in relation to the doe there in second. The doe in second is the wilder body, better ribbed one that's big and square and behind her shoulder. To me, she's just a little plainer looking up front, if you will. I don't read quite as much extension, as much uniqueness in the front part of her skeleton, the way she's built up through her head, neck, and chest. That one to me reads just a little more mature. And with that being said, I don't think she gives you quite the show ring presence or look there from the side. One there in third is a really, really nice made doe that's got a very, very unique silhouette. The young lady gets her prop. It's a tall shoulder doe that's long and level spine. With that being said, I just don't think there's enough gas in that one when you get right behind her. She to me fades the most out of her pins and closes the most out of her hop. Still a really, really good doe there in third. One here in fourth runs into a heck of a class because there's a lot of power and dimension in that one. Really tall shouldered, extremely neat and tidy up to her head and neck and throat latch. Get down here to the bottom side of her skeleton though, and I think the steeper hip doe, just a little more developed up through her chest, a little bolder through her shoulder though. I like that one's neck shape, I like her back shape, I like her loin shape. Just wish she was better in her bottom line. This one here in fifth is a good doe that's good body, good rib, and got some power. Again, I don't think she balances quite as well, off of behind her shoulder. It's steeper out of her hip. Got another fundamentally correct doe that has the look or the extension of some of these others. Get down the line with the group of them. Got some body volume, got some softness of rib. To me, they don't come with the extras in terms of just look and presence and skeletal quality. Good set though. Let's give those young people a hand.
Results in Class 14, 10th place, Haley Crawford. 9th, Sophie Sturgis. 8th, Elmer Hambrick. 7th, Buzzard Heather. 6th, Jordan Jelinek. 5th, Ariana Lundgren. 4th, Chancellor Johnson. 3rd, Elena Santiago. 2nd, Kira Rogers. And your Class 14 winner, Kaylee Rolfe. Now entering the ring, Class 15 of the Breeding Doe Show. First call for Class 16. First call, Class 16 Breeding Does. Second call for Class 16 breeding nose. Second call, Class 16 breeding nose.
Class 15, Royal Ricardo and Natalia, Shelby Noble, and Curtis Sturgis.
Final call, Class 16 breeding nose. Final call for Class 16.
Good class of those, lots of differences. Probably just not that one that jumps out and grabs you, but I think there's a solid one there on the top end of this deal. You go ahead and win. That doe is awesome backed, great body, big square loin. And with that, still balances well. Like the change her out of her hip just to nickel her rib cage, body shape, and then with that, her extension from the side allows her to rise to the forefront pretty quickly, in my opinion. Probably the one that's a little better necked and better up front is the one here in second. At the same time, I just wish that one was a nickel leveler whenever you get her off to the side. I think she is easily the steepest out of her hip of the initial trio. And with that, I don't know if her rib cage or lower body is as good as the one that starts, but still I like that one's sleekness up front. I think she's got loads of power and still square and dimensional over her loin. This one here in third is probably the freakiest one just in terms of just sheer loin shape, really wide, opened up. To me, it's almost to a default though, because she gets a little straighter on both ends, a little more open through her shoulder. I read that doe as a nickel straighter up front, and she's especially shorter hip, more restricted in her hock. I like to make her a little longer body and more extended also. Probably the stout, powerful one comes out in fourth. That one's massive on either end, extremely big-legged. She's a little overcooked in terms of condition, and with that, I think she's the plainest looking off the profile, also the plainest when you get your hands on her at the backside of her shoulder. This one here in fifth is a nice solid doe that's got some length up front, got some softness back into her flank. To me, she's the most off and behind her shoulder, the highest in her chine, most mature in her neck shape. With that, I don't think she has quite the look or the presence of some of those others, but still a good balance doe. It's got lots of power. They make her a nickel bigger coming right out of her tail. Looking down here, another one. It's a good body doe that's got some width up over the top side of her skeleton. To me, she's the narrowest out of her pins, the most closed up underneath. Round out the set with two of them that again have some body volume with some rib. Maybe change them in terms of balance just a nickel. But still a great class. Give those young people a hand.
The results for class 15, in eighth place, Hannah Garcia. 7th, Buzzard Heather. 6th, Katie Matsumoto. 5th, Abby Yankee. 4th, Reagan Rogers. 3rd, Tassie Joe Fadley. 2nd place, Reese Ludlow. And your class 15 winner, Case Ingleson. This is the first call for all first and second place exhibitors in classes 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15 to the holding ring.
Okay, first place goes, classes 11 through 15, come on in.
Second call for all first and second place exhibitors in classes 11 through 15 to the holding ring. Second call for all first and second place exhibitors in classes 11 through 15 to the holding ring.
I think a real nice class, but a dominant winner up front. I think that thing is pretty unique just in terms of look and presence and balance. We get to these heavier weights, and that doe still being able to silhouette that well and have that kind of youthfulness just in terms of her underlying quality, the drop to her flank, get on top of her. She handles big and square up over her loin and massive up over her rack. I think that's an awfully good doe, young lady. You should be proud of that one. One here in second, I think, is really sleek up front, extremely tall shoulder. Love that one's levelness of lines. Maybe in relation to our winner, has a little more set to her hock and just doesn't maintain her top line directly behind her shoulder quite as well as that other one. But again, that's a square-built, white constructed doe that might actually be bigger out of her hip than our class winner. Just runs out of gas, just runs out of just in relation to balance and just sheer skeletal quality in relation to our winner. This one here in third is a good body, good rib doe that's massive up high. Doesn't come with quite the show ring presence up front. She's a little more open in her shoulder, a little plainer about her neck and shorter in her hip. This one here in fourth is a really long-bodied extended doe that I love the extra length and growth in that doe, and she handles big and square up over her back. To me, she's the just the plainest out of her hip, the frailest featured of that initial trio. I don't read quite as much, just if you will, quite as much presence in that one, just in relation to her underlying balance and the way she's built out of her hip. This one here in fifth is just a solid doe that's deep-bodied and practically built. At the same time, she doesn't handle with the mass and the shape up high to contend. Round out the set with two of them. We got a long-bodied extended doe that needs more power. We got one that's got loads of power. To me, it's just a little much in terms of just openness of shoulder. It's a little plainer shaped and behind her shoulder and more restricted from behind. Awesome set. Let's give those young people a hand.
Your results for Class 16, breeding does in 7th place, Sophie Sturgis. 6th, Chloe Lombardo. 5th, Gracia Ellis. 4th, Amanda Talbot. 3rd, Reese Ingleson. 2nd, Haley Albrecht. And your class winner for 16, Haley Albrecht. First call for the Division I champion and reserve champion, and the Division II champion and reserve champion. Now entering the ring is your Division III champion drive.
As we get into our last division, it's been a pleasure. These does are incredible. And those of you that raised them should be commended for how good they are. There's one out here that I think is a unique creature, but still, you know, you might have your favorites. There's a lot of good does out here, and if you disagree with me in a couple places, I wouldn't argue with you. There's one of them that just hits me a little harder than the others. I'll go out and find you a champion. Let's give these exhibitors a real nice round of applause.
Your champion Division 3 doe is Kenna Gay, and your reserve champion Division 3 doe, Haley Albrecht. Just a reminder, if you have sheep in the Supreme Drive, we need to have you ready at 3 o'clock. At 3 o'clock, you will meet in the show ring. Now entering the ring is the overall breeding doe drive.
Shit, I didn't know you were right there. You scared the shit out of me. I put my hands in there and I don't see his hair.
Reminder, those of you that are in the Grand Drive with the sheep, we need to have you down here at 3 o'clock. Those of you in the Grand Drive for the goats, we need to have you down here at 3:15. We'll go over in 2 shifts. We'll get the sheep over there. Those of you with goats, that gives you about 30 minutes to get those goats ready. 3:15 to meet down here with the goats, 3 o'clock for the sheep.
It's been a pleasure working through your guys' goats, and as we get into the Grand Drive, we'll get into a few more just announcements or things I'd like to say, but the quality is tremendous, and you guys have brought these to me. I feel very thankful that you brought me this kind of quality, and it's a testament to just how good we're making these things and just how unique they are. And you guys have figured out I have a kind. You might not always agree with it, but I like to think I stay pretty true to it. And there's all 3 of these ones that are out here in the front of this lineup represent the kind I like. There's differences in them, but I think they're all high quality, good built, good looking type of goats that got some good in them in terms of width and muscle. Don't have to be the most massive for me, but you got to have your skeletons right and your front ends correct. There's differences in them, but still I think there's one of them that's just wild, in my opinion, and a pretty unique breeding piece for sure. So we'll go out and find you a champion reserve. It's been a pleasure and an honor. Thanks for having me in Arizona. We'll go out and find you a champion.